I still remember the sound of the bell over the restaurant door that afternoon. Soft, familiar, almost forgettable. But the man who walked through it? Lord, nothing about him was forgettable. It was a slow Texas noon, sun pouring through the dusty windows like honey, catching in the steam rising off the fryer. I was wiping down the counter, humming a country song I half knew, when I looked up. And there he was. Tall, broad shoulders, sun-tanned skin. He wasn't in uniform, but he had that presence. The kind that fills a room before a man even speaks. And his eyes, soft, steady. He just walked in quietly, almost shyly. Later, I learned he had just come back from his service year. Miles of dust, miles of danger, miles of missing home sitting quietly on his shoulders. But in that moment, all I knew was that his smile, small, almost crooked, pulled the air right out of my chest. I grabbed my notepad, smoothed my apron, and tried to pretend I wasn't suddenly nervous. He looked up, and my entire world stilled.
Hey there, what can I get you?
I'll take whatever you recommend. I'm glad to be home. Want something that tastes like it.
I brought him my favorite, country fried steak with mashed potatoes and green beans the way my mama taught me. And the way he smiled when I set that plate down made me feel like I'd handed him a piece of his old life back. He took one bite and actually closed his eyes.
You cooked this?
No, but I brought it to you, so I'll accept the compliment.
And right there, between that chuckle and the way his eyes softened when he looked at me, I fell. We talked while he ate. And then he said something that felt like fate nudging my shoulder.
You know, I've been home 2 days, and this is the first moment I felt like myself.
I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened. Because I understood more than he knew. What it was like to search for a place where you felt seen. I'd come to this restaurant looking for that feeling. And somehow, I found it in a stranger. When he finished his meal, he stood up slowly. He pulled out his wallet, hesitated, and then, of all things, his hand started shaking just a little. He looked at me, embarrassed.
I'm sorry. Still getting used to being back.
I reached out, steadying his hand with mine before I even thought about it. His skin was warm, rough, alive, and that single touch changed everything.
It's okay. You're home now.
He exhaled, long, shaky, like he'd been holding his breath for months. Then he asked quietly,
Can I see you again?
I don't know how long I stared at him, but I do know this. Every part of my heart said yes before my mouth did. So I nodded. And the smile he gave me wasn't the smile he walked in with. It was softer, brighter, like the kind of smile a man gives only when hope finds him again. As he stepped out into the Texas sun, I stood there behind the counter, apron dusty, hands trembling, heart wide open, knowing without a doubt that something extraordinary had just begun. And I still believe it. Love doesn't always enter loudly. Sometimes, it just walks into a restaurant, dust on its boots, hunger in its eyes, and a quiet heart begging to be seen. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, you look up at the right moment and fall in love with a military man who finally made it home.